going on, guys? This is Matt from Amped Airsoft, and today Jack from Polar Star Airsoft finally made it to us. I'm going to show you guys a basic install into a V2 gearbox, some basic info about this new system, and our initial reviews from Amped Airsoft. So let's see what we got. So, the Jack is designed to be an extremely simple and user-friendly system. As you can see, it's a very compact size, and we are expecting it within the month. At the time of this filming, we're probably looking a few weeks out. This is the demo unit that we got here at the shop to, kind of tinker over and test out. Price-wise, don't quote me on this 100% yet, but we have been hearing some rumors that this thing will be looking right around the $300 price point, which is very attainable for a lot of players, and that is going to make HPA systems much more attainable to newer players, and also for people looking to bulk their collections up. This is definitely something you're going to want to keep your eyes on. So since this is our demo unit, we can't really show you the internal workings, anything like that, but we can show you the externals. And as you can see, we've installed one of our Amped custom IGLs onto it. They fit perfectly. We'll have more info on that for you guys later. But Polar Star has allowed us to show you guys, some installs and some test shooting and things of that nature. So the Jack is designed primarily to go into V2 and V3 gearboxes. It will only come with centered nozzles. But if you check Polar Star's Instagram and their other network sites, they are going to offer custom nozzles because this nozzle is made of Delrin, which is a very pliable and easy to manufacture plastic. So if you have compatible trigger boards, they'll be able to make nozzles for many things. Just remember, have to keep in mind, it has to be a V2, V3, something very similar to that, and the nozzle has to be a center aligned. If you're looking for an off center, you're gonna have to wait for the F1 and other similar systems. So what I'm gonna do today is give you guys a basic install into a V2 gearbox. And of course, with all gearboxes, there will be slight differences, but this will be generic enough where basically your only differences are going to be, types of tools you'll need, but everything is usually fairly similar, so you guys should be able to figure it out from there. Okay guys, so here's your install guide. First off, tools that you're going to need: a basic Phillips head screwdriver, preferably one slim enough that you can slip down into the buffer tube to get your buffer tube off. A good set of Allen wrenches, and that should pretty much take care of it. So let's get to gutting this gearbox, and it'll speed up when I'm just kind of undoing things, and then when I need to point out stuff to you, it'll slow down and I'll tell you guys what's going on. Once you have almost all the gearbox shell screws undone, what you're going to want to do is take something, usually a screwdriver or an Allen key. You want to place it back in here to help hold the spring in, so once you pop the shell loose, the spring doesn't go shooting out and hurt somebody. Also guys, I always prefer to have the right side of the shell up, just how I've always done it. Alrighty, so at this point what we're going to do is start kind of gutting all the gearbox parts out because we don't really need most of them. You do want to hold on to your buffer tube and your spring guide though. This will come in handy later. Okay, you're also going to want to hold on to your trigger and your trigger spring. Alrighty, we're going to flip it over here to the outer left side of the shell. You can leave your selector plate on. You will actually need that. Alrighty, so now we have all of your wiring and your trigger contacts. That's gone. Alrighty guys, so now the gearbox has been gutted. What you should have remaining on your left shell, you want to have your selector plate, and you also want to keep your safety latch connected and the spring and everything in it. You will need that. As for the other side of the shell, that one completely everything removed. Some people prefer to remove the bushings or bearings. I just leave them in. They don't really seem to get in the way of anything, and you know, it's an extra step you can forget. Okay, so from here, what we're going to do first is install our trigger board. Now this is fairly fragile, so you will want to be careful while you're doing this. You're going to take your side of the shell that has your selector plate in it, and basically you're going to drop it in there. And then what you want to do is take one of the little screws that was holding your trigger contacts in, and you're going to mount that to the shell. And again, it is a fragile piece. It is a circuit board, so you don't have to crank that down. Just make sure it's nice and snug. Then you'll be able to look over here. Good to go there. Okay. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take the jack itself, drop it in, and if you notice, if you get up close, it has two notches. Those should fit into the notches right there to keep it nice and aligned, and so it won't move around on you. Then you want to take your wiring right there, plug it in. Then what you want to do is take your wiring harness that comes with it. This is, from what we have noticed and the one we got with our demo unit, this is the same wiring harness, not FCU, but wiring harness that comes with the standard Fusion engine. Go ahead and plug that guy in. Now it seems like Polarstar wants this to be rear wired, as the wiring harness points to the back, just as a heads up on that one, guys. Then you're going to want to run that out the little slot on the back of your gearbox. So now you can see it as it sits in there in the 1/2. Then what you're going to want to do is take your trigger and your trigger spring, and we're going to want to get those in there. Now depending on what make and model of gearbox you have, your trigger may sit there by itself. Some others with the spring kind of want to shoot it out. Just remember to double check that it has pressure that forces it forward so the trigger resets. So you can pull the trigger and it comes back forward by itself. This one seems like it wants to sit there by itself, which makes this job a lot easier. So we just do a quick double check. Everything is going out the direction it should be. Our Amped Custom IGL, that fits straight out. No need to Dremel the gearbox or the pinion gear hole. Fits right out that. Now, one of the differences on this one, you're going to need to take your buffer tube spring guide. You're actually going to need this in there to hold your stock on. Something I plan to do, since it's not held in by the tension of the spring anymore, is I put the buffer tube spring on it. Make sure it's going to clear your wiring, and then it's got some notches back there that's going to sit in. Now I just do that so this doesn't knock loose when you're putting the other half of the shell on, and it holds it in place. So again, another check, everything's sitting where it should be. We're going to take our other shell and start placing it on, making sure nothing's pinched, everything's going the way it should. As you can see, I got jack hanging out right there. Seems like we got a nice solid lock all the way around, so we're going to flip it over. Alrighty. Now I'm going to leave this in until the gearbox shell is tightened down. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Alrighty. Just do a quick look over, make sure the shell is sealed all the way around. Our spring guide is in there and locked into the notches, so I can remove this spring for now. And now it's in the shell, so let's do it a quick look over, make sure everything is good to go before we go any further. So you're going to want to take your FCU, hook it up, FCU's up, got our air, pressurized. You're going to want to take, make sure you're in a nice quiet area. give it a once over, make sure you don't hear any leaks or air rushing anywhere. Sounds like we're good. There's safety. There's semi. Alright, so we're good to go. Gonna disconnect the FCU battery and air. So now we're gonna go ahead and drop it into the receiver and finish putting the gun together. And as I said before, we're dropping this into a G&G Combat Machine CM18 Mod 1. So of course you drop everything into the rear receiver, or into the lower receiver. Alrighty, and to make sure you get proper alignment, you always want to do this in a certain order. Here at Amped, we always suggest that you do your floor pin first. After that, you're going to want to install your rear body pin. And a little bit of a note, because the FCU, or because the wire harness runs directly out there, occasionally it will pass directly through there. So what you want to do is gently kind of shift it around so you can see completely through that hole without any obstructions. And there's no wiring harness in there. So we're going to go ahead and insert the pin. Then from there I normally do the mag catch. What you might want to do once you get to this point is take one of your mags, put it in there just to make sure everything's aligned there. Locks in. Releases. Good to go. Now we're going to install the grip. For this one, because we have our Amped Custom IGL installed, a little bit needed to be dremeled out or drilled out just so this would fit through. Slides through, slides right up. Alright, so there's our grip. Now what we're going to do is install our buffer tube, since everything else is installed on it right now. You're going to do your buffer tube or sling plate. And you want to be careful right in here, considering how the wiring harness comes out. You want to gently kind of form it to the way it's going to be, making sure not to pinch anything in there. Yeah, slide the plate on. Now you're going to want to drop your buffer tube screw in. Alright, now we got our tube on. For this particular style, we suggest putting your FCU on before your stock. You actually want to slip it down into the buffer tube itself. And as you see, it fits perfectly in there. We'll leave our battery wire out. Now we're going to slide our stock on. Now we're going to take our upper receiver. Barrel and hop up already installed. We're going to slide that on. Go ahead and insert the front pin. This may also need a little bit of a love tap. Alrighty, good to go there. So now it is installed. You can see a little bit of jack hanging out there. So what you're going to want to do here is, remember, no battery, no air connected, with safety goggles on. What you're going to want to do is shine a flashlight into the hop-up right here, and again, with the most caution, look down the barrel and check your nozzle alignment. Make sure it is centered and not leaning one side or the other. Because it is a Delrin nozzle, it will wear much faster than standard metal ones, so you're definitely going to make sure your nozzle alignment is good. So then we're going to hook up our battery. Drop that in there. Alrighty. Let's do one more air check. Here's the tank so you can see it. Let's make sure everything is working. Safety, good. Semi. And auto. Looks like we're good there. Okay guys, so there's your install for Jack. Hopefully that clears up any questions and concerns you might have. And of course, if you have any extra ones, you can get them in the comment section down below, message our Facebook, or email us. And as I mentioned before, we can't really show you the internal functions of this quite yet, or some of the FCU settings. But we are going to do an honest guys review of this very soon as it actually releases for purchase to you guys. So keep your eyes peeled for that in the coming weeks. And as always, remember, play honorably, call your hits, and most importantly, have fun. See you guys later.